Testing. I think it's off. Okay.
Shane, establish a quorum, please.
Yes, Ms. Jackson? Ms. Tisworth? Ms. Williams? Dr. Yvonne Elliott?
Present.
Ms. Lane?
Here.
Ms. Real?
Present.
And Dr. Coleman?
Present. At this time, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, Ms. Morrow Real, would you present the board norms?
Yes. This is the Board of Education for Riverview Garden Board now. Number one, cohesive team. Pause to hear all voices after someone speaks. Number two, consider all opinions. Number three, assume positive intentions. Under item two, collective agreement. Number one, collective voices to reach decisions. Number two, honor and respect the work of the board. Number three, honoring and supporting the board decision at all times. Under item three, be prepared for the meeting. Number one, the board will review the packet and submit questions within the established time frame. Number two, members of the board will arrive 5 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. Number three, administration will send board packets to the Riverview Gardens Board of Education within identified time frame. And on the number four, not allow outside entities to dictate board actions. Number one, Riverview Gardens Board of Education decisions will be made based on facts, policies, and procedures, not individual opinions or requests. And number two, educate and encourage the community to follow proper protocol for voicing concerns, and that's policy KC, community engagement. Those are our board norms.
Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
I would like to move to approve the agenda as presented.
It's been moved by Dr. Yvonne Elliott to approve the agenda. Second. And it's been seconded by, I believe I heard you first, Ms. Jackson. Thank you so much. Are there any questions?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to make a motion or suggest that we pull from the agenda the July 9 board meeting, open session minutes. The board made a mistake in appointing two positions that are not in compliance with board policy.
Is that the?
I'm not sure what she's referring
Policy BCA.
to. Mhm.
There are two positions that the board, we made a mistake in approving two positions that are not a policy, that are not board policy positions, an assistant secretary and an alternate treasurer.
Yes.
Those are not board policies.
Thank you.
Okay, that's what I was-
Any other questions? Well, we didn't vote to accept them. So, can I get a motion to accept Ms. Lane's motion to pull the agenda, July 9th agenda from
July 9th minutes.
July 9th minutes?
Point of order. The point of order would be if we're correcting an action, it has nothing to do with what's documented in the minutes, we will have to correct the action. So it's properly documented that we made the action. We would be making a motion to undo it if we were correcting what we did. That's the point of order. You can't undo what happened as far as documentation. We'll be undoing the action.
So then we are voting to accept minutes, but we have to still go back at a later date to correct it.
That would
Correct
be
the
under the
action.
items
the
under
action.
consent. That would be under the consent items, number
Okay.
10, open session minutes.
Okay.
That's where we would correct the error.
So am I to understand, in order to correct that, Ms. Lane's motion is to amend the agenda to pull that set of minutes and then have the order corrected later in the meeting?
Yes,
This,
under consent.
Because if she's approving the consent agenda as part of the agenda, it includes those minutes. So in
Minutes.
order to have a discussion and to correct those minutes, she has to remove it from the consent agenda. Is that what your
Yes,
intention is?
so what I'm saying is that the minutes is not the issue. She's referring to an action that the board took as the issue. So the minutes can be approved as presented. The action is what you have to correct. The minutes won't change.
the
It's the
minutes,
action.
the minutes
They-
will change. Because we're not approving those minutes. We're going to change those minutes because we made an error in those minutes.
Mhm.
As a person that made the motion to, establish those positions, if I'm not incorrect, need to be the same person to make the motion. Is that not correct? Or are you just gonna make a new motion to undo?
Well, Wouldn't
action.
we be removing them, or shouldn't we be removing them from the item of consent so that we are not voting on them?
We did it before when they weren't correct, when it was brought to our attention. The minutes were not correct. So it's what the board's pleasure is, huh? Whatever.
We cannot approve the minutes that are incorrect.
So how do you wanna move
Is
forward?
the
We
min-
made a mistake.
Make a motion to remove that item from the agenda.
Consent agenda. So who seconded the motion? I'm sorry.
I'll say.
Ms. Moore will. Okay, so amend the agenda to remove the item for open session meeting minutes, okay? July 9th. Thank you.
I would like to
Thank
make amendment that, that the, minutes be removed with a follow-up to a MSBA. You have to ask
Miss,
for a second. You have to ask for a
Dr.
second.
Von Elliott has made a motion to have those items removed with a follow-up from MSBA.
For what
Why are you
cause?
thinking-
Because I don't believe that that process is correct based on Robert's Rule of Order.
Oh, okay.
Is there a second? Now where do we stand?
Can you
So,
go back to
go
the
back to the original,
Yeah.
I'm
My
sorry.
question is, if we don't use MSBA, how do we correct it? How do we fix it?
You said
If we don't
you-
consult with MSBA, then how do we as a board correct the action?
Well, I'm saying, I'm sharing based on my expertise. But so we're correcting the action. We will approve the minutes and then we will put on the agenda to rescind our motion for those officers. But there was also time to actually make it an agenda item so that we could have had 24 hours to look into it, because I thought I saw assistant treasurer somewhere. I don't know if it was state or in our policy, So I don't know where the issue with the discrepancy even comes from, because it was not added to the agenda for us to have looked into it prior to
We
that.
weren't made aware of it being an issue, Dr. Avant Elliott. Because if we were, then we would have been
No,
able to
so
put it on.
she's bringing it up, so
Correct.
that's why I'm referring.
Yeah.
Referring to.
But I
us
was just making
finding
sure
out
that
about
you
it.
understand that it wasn't brought forward
Yes,
in a, time so that we could add it
Right.
to the agenda.
right. So that gives us time to,
And I'm bringing it forward now.
Okay,
Therefore, I already presented my motion to have the minutes for July 9 to be pulled from the agenda and addressed under the consent items, number 10, where we can make the recension of that motion that was in violation of policy BCA.
Okay,
you want to take a vote? There's a motion on the floor. Do you want to take a vote?
is there a second to Ms.
Miss-
Lane's motion?
Ms. Moore real made the second.
Oh, Ms. Morrell made a second. It's been moved by Ms. Lane to remove the item of the July 9th minutes from the agenda and addressed in the items of consent. And it's been seconded by Ms. Morrell. Roll call vote. Are there any more questions?
You want to do a roll call vote, you said? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Tisworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Ms. Morrell?
Yes.
Dr. Coleman?
Yes.
Dr. Avant Elliott?
No,
Ms. Jackson?
Abstain.
We have 4 yes votes, 2 abstentions, and 1 no. Motion passed.
do you know what the policy is to add? Is it 2/3?
On 2/3 on,
On the vote? To amend the agenda. I was just asking what Ms. Shay knew concerning that. You don't know?
It's a simple.
Okay.
majority.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, are there any patron participation? Okay. Are there any announcements?
Yes, I do have one. Good evening, everyone. As you all know, Missouri School Board Association usually holds 2 regional meetings. They hold a spring regional meeting and they hold a fall regional meeting. We originally tried to schedule the fall meeting for September 4th, and I know that date seems like it's pretty close, coming pretty soon. However, the school district that was originally going to serve as host for us has notified our board that they have to cancel at this time. So what we're in the process of doing now is there are 2 other school districts that expressed the desire to host the meetings for us. So as soon as I get that information, I will let the superintendent know and the board know where it's going to be held and the time and all of that. So I'll let you guys know as soon as that information is available.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Patton.
Superintendent's announcements. Good evening, everybody. I do want to mention, since we haven't met since I think maybe the beginning of July, a lot is taking place. Our teachers are back on campus, on our campuses. They have been receiving professional development in preparation to receive our students. They're learning many things. And so our administrators are also, our building administrators are also in professional development. So we are preparing to receive our students on Monday, August 19th. We also had our back to school bash on August 1st. There's a debate as to how many people were there. Somebody's saying over 3,500. I went, ooh, that's a little much. So I'm just gonna stick with over 1,000. So we had a lot of people on our campus. Many of our board members showed up, so thank you for coming out to support. I think I saw Miss Lane, Miss Williams, Dr. Coleman. I don't know if anyone else was there. It was so many people there, and we brought in our alpacas. That was a big hit. The corn continues to be a big hit, and I'm still confused by that. I don't get it. But it's a big hit. So I do want to shout out a couple of people. The Little Bit Foundation donated over 1,000 backpacks. We had Tuath and Keeney as well as White Coleman donate school supplies. So we had the backpacks stuffed. Then we had some of our partners, Stifel Nicholas, I believe, they sponsored food trucks. So I want to shout out those partners that sponsored the food trucks as well as the backpacks and the supplies for the backpacks. Altogether, it was a great event. I've received several comments about it being the best one. I'm in competition with Deirdre Liddell because I planned the last one and I got a little attitude about people saying that this was the best one. So, okay, Miss Liddell. And then also we held our convocation, as many of you know, last Friday, and that was a great hit. We were way over time, but I have to say it was awesome. It was a great celebration for our staff and bringing them all in to just kick off the school year. Our first speaker of the evening was our own board president, or the morning was Dr. Coleman, who brought it and had them all singing in the audience and did a great job. So she started singing. So, the gauntlet was thrown. So then I had to sing. Trust and believe I did not sound as good as Dr. Coleman because I know my strengths and singing is not one of them, but the spirit moved me because I believe in the school district. And our motto this year is we've got work to do. So I thought I was Vanessa Williams for about 10 seconds till I went to hit a note and realized you are not Vanessa Williams and had to pull up. But it was a great celebration. We had Principal Wayman there. She is she was an assistant superintendent who couldn't find a principal for one of her schools because it was the most dangerous school in America. Strawberry Mansion, I think that was the name of it. So she took the job as principal and she turned that school around. And so I really wanted to put somebody in front of our employees and our staff that walked the walk, not someone who came from a school district that wasn't challenging. So she managed to turn the school district around and they came off the worst school list. Their scores increased. And so the one way that she did that was she was consistent with her expectations and she built relationships. So she brought the house down and then we had GOV there, our little, boys, BOV, Boys of Vision. And then what's the middle one? Young Men of Vision, and then our Gentlemen of Vision. They came and of course, everybody lost their minds. We had our band there as well, and they played for us. It was a great celebration. Miss Lane had never been to one, and she was I was watching her, she was up out of her seat, shaking and moving. So it was great. So you were what? You were animated. Except when I was singing, then I saw you going, don't, cut that short. Oh, the choir. That's right. Thank you, Miss Nave. The choir, our Riverview Gardens choir also sang, they sang We Are Family and Ramily, and then they sang We've Got Work to Do. And so it was a great celebration. I always look forward to that because that's the day that we celebrate our staff and all the work that they do, and we can get the school year kicked off. So I want to shout out Liddell and everyone who contributed to both events, Back to School Bash and our convocation being so successful. Congratulations and thank you all. It took many hands. It took many hands, but everybody stepped up. I do want to say at one point during the afternoon PD, we ran out of food and we started ordering pizzas. Amber White paid for 10 pizzas. Dr. Singleton got 25 pizzas for us. So we were able to get our staff fed. So everybody just kind of chipped in where it was needed and did what was needed, and it made the entire day. That's our Ramily. So thanks to everyone who chipped in on that. I want to comment on enrollment. As of today, we have 2,727 students registered out of 5,000 projected, 5,295. So we have about 2,500 students still not registered. We are holding registration every day for our families who are listening or in the room. We are holding registration every day at the schools. You can go into the school to Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday. They will be there from 8:30 to 6. So they're staying open an extra 2 hours Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday of this week to get our students registered. And then on Friday, they will be there until 4 o'clock. So I'm encouraging our families, register, register, register. If the students aren't registered, they cannot attend school on August 19th. They have to be registered. Also, to reduce the confusion that's already going to be occurring in buildings, there will be no registration in the building on the 19th or the 20th. We will resume registration on the 21st, but understand our families don't have to come into our schools to be registered. They can go online and register without even coming into the building. So I'm encouraging all of our families to please register. Remember also immunizations. We will be checking immunization records. Students will start to be excluded in September if they are not immunized, so that those things are important. And then the last thing, I already talked about registration. So Madam Board President, that is all I have for Superintendent, I was getting ready to say Assistant Superintendent announcement. Superintendent announcements.
Thank you so much. And now we're ready to move into our items for information.
So our first item up for information is LAMP Services, is our LAMP service agreement. This is in collaboration with Collaborative Climate and Culture and Student Performance, and in conjunction with policy IGBCB, IGBH, and IGBC. And the person making this presentation is Ms. Kimberly Mott, our math coordinator.
Good evening, Riverview Gardens Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues and community. The contract renewal with LAMP Services is being presented for information. The Superintendent, Dr. Tanya Patton, approved the service agreement as it falls within the threshold of policy DJF purchasing and was budgeted. LAMP stands for Language Access for Multicultural People. LAMP services provide interpreting services for our teachers, counselors, administrators, non-English speaking parents, guardians, scholars, and other family members. The district began using the LAMP agency in 2013. Since then, the agency has provided our district with highly trained interpreters available 24/7, even after hours and on weekends, to facilitate in-person, over the phone, video remote, and written document translation for things such as school registration, parent-teachers conferences, student evaluations, and map testing. LAMP Services continues to build collaboration and trust with our scholars and their families, and it is necessary to ensure that all voices are at the table and are heard. The budget impact is not to exceed $3,000, and it comes out of the curriculum and instruction general operating budget under other professional and technical services. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mrs. Mott.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not saying this because of you, Mrs. Mott, but we do have a lot of items on our agenda. So I'm asking people to be as succinct as possible. Moving on to the next item is the federal programs year in review for 23-24. It is in conjunction with CSIP Goals Student Performance and Collaborative Cultures and in alignment with policy AF and IM. Making this presentation is Lakina Curtis, Director of Federal Programs.
Good evening, everybody. Not that one. Just, I cannot even see that. Nope. It's a PowerPoint. Try that one. Yes.
Ms. Curtis, pull over the microphone, pull up the microphone. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. School board, I'm sorry. Tonight I present the annual evaluation covering the 23-24 school year. Within your board packets, I've been provided a quick explanation sheet to explain all of the funding sources. So I hope that was helpful to understand what each funding source means within federal programs, as well as some other accounting documentation inside of there. Can I use it? Okay. All right, so we'll start with the Title I area, improving programs in all of our sites. These particular funds are for supplemental programs, targeted assistance in all of our schools. And our high needs areas, when I look at the original allocation for the school year 23-24, we were originally awarded a little over $4.5 million and awarded a little bit over 1.4 million in carryover for a total allocation of $6,314,098.67. For Title II, that is a support mostly for teachers and administrators to get professional development support and resources in that area. The original allocation for last school year was $471,491 with a carryover amount of $454,510 for a total allocation of $926,002.32. School improvement, little a, we did see some challenges here, and I'll explain a little bit. These funds were increased from 6 schools to 9 schools with this past year. Those 3 additional schools included Highland, LeMasters, and Lewis and Clark. We were originally awarded $3,254,035.15 with no carryover. And as you see, the final allocation is less than the original carryover, being $1,854,362. That occurred as an error on DESI's behalf, and I can provide that documentation if need be. Toward the middle of the year, end of the year, I always go over the budgets to make sure everything is in alignment for summer needs and things like that, as far as staffing, making sure everything is in place to not obligate the district's general funds with things that should have been in place with federal funds. So when I went to do that revision, submitted it as was, just making sure everything was okay, I got an error back to say, well, Riverview Gardens, you guys are over budgeted. So I call, what do you mean we're over budgeted? Because you approved this $3 million December 11th. So we've been spending this $3 million since December 11th. So back and forth in phone calls, and the final response was their EPEG system made a mistake. And as I continue to drill down further, I look back into last year. They gave us 2 carryover allocations last year, and this is just my assumption. I don't think we were supposed to get those. One was like a $370,000 carryover allocation in the prior year, and then they gave us like another $900,000 in January following that. So when I look and added those amounts, it would have added up to what would have been carryover for us this year, and they gave it to us in the prior year by mistake. So I kept the documentation to indicate, no, this was not a Lakina Curtis error. This was a DESI error, and I sent it, and they could not do anything. So I literally had to go in and readjust a lot of things over spring break to make sure we were in alignment with expectations and funding. So that explains that drastic drop in funding for Title I Little A. Title IV is mostly for social and emotional improvement, support, academic and enrichment. The original allocation we received was $336,000 with a carryover amount of $324,000 for a total of $660,699. One thing that I want to point out, and this is something I also shared during the principals meeting, was a proud and a successful moment. When I looked at this particular document, the financial report from this year as compared to last year, we did a lot better with regard to spending federal funds. As you can see the amount, and I believe I got a question and I want to clear this up. When you all see on this particular document and anything related to federal funds, you see the 12 general funds. It doesn't mean that it's general obligated funds. It means it's a coding system, if that makes sense, within accounting. So whether it's federal funds or general funds, a 12 means a non-certified position or materials and supplies. It could be purchase services. It could be a myriad of things. And a 20 means a certified position and the same thing. So it could be salaries, materials, supplies, purchase services, all of those things. The only things that's different is the capital outlay, if that makes sense. So I wanted to make sure I cleared that up as well. But when you look at the amount spent for this year in each of the funding sources, and when I looked at last year, there was an increase in spending for Title I Little A by 15%. I'm sorry, Big A by 15%. And even with the mishap with Little A that we had this year, there was still an increase of spending by 23%. In Title II, there was an increase in spending by 30%. And in Title IV, there was an increase in spending by 60% for an overall increase of spending in all those funding sources by 32% from one school year to the next. So last year, when I looked at how much was left, I thought I had it up here, how much in funding that was not spent, it was $534,159. This year, it was just this $1 million. So I gave congratulations to our principals because that also included making sure vacancies were filled within the federal programs department. We had many vacancies the prior year, errors with the materials and supplies and things, and just some misunderstandings. So we were able to clear that up, have conversations, and provide them with the appropriate professional development to understand how to spend these funds appropriately. So I thank them a whole lot because this could not have been done without them. Some of the things when I looked at the evaluation that I want to continue to stop is vacancies. Stop having vacancies across the board and staff resignations. We've had a lot of those as well. I don't know how to stop them, but I want to stop them. Some things that I want to tweak, looking at the 23-24 school year monthly spend calendar and guide each month. Each department and school gets a year-to-date calendar on where they are, how much they've spent, and I meet with them to see what they need and how they can appropriately spend those funds in a timely fashion, and develop specific spending action plans for our non-public sites. That's always been a challenge for us. I had a meeting today, and out of the 30 schools, we had 6 people show up today. So we'll just keep at it. Something that I want to start is the revision of unused funds to be submitted to DESE to revise those funds in a different way by November, but that's all depending on when they let us know when carryover is available. Evaluate the effectiveness of resources that's supported by federal programs. So we have Ms. Nave in leadership and accountability because I don't directly supervise or evaluate or do any of those things. So if schools are in need of something, I don't directly oversee it. So she'll be a great support in supporting me to make sure that the resources are being used appropriately, if we need them, if we don't need them. Something that I want to continue again is the monthly meetings with departments and sites, support with account coding and understanding. As you know, I think somebody had a challenge with understanding that this evening. Support with developing and implementation of grant plans and goals, and continue to bridge the federal finance and district departments. There's a lot of just misconceptions, and finance departments just thinking that teachers and principals, they're not accountants, they don't understand certain things, which we just teach. So continuing to bridge that and plan to increase the community volunteer support, which we've already started the other day with an event, which I'll speak to as well. Again, some of the positions that we support: teaching method coaches, supplemental reading and math teachers, interventionists, instructional assistants, homeless coordinators, early childhood teachers, and then my position and my administrative assistant as well. Some of the resources that we support, those are some of the reading programs that are listed there: math as well as technology. And then some of the federal program goals that I've listed are there, but I also want to speak to some of the successes. Again, the increased spending for this past year was a success. The increased number of students participating in dual enrollment, how awesome it will be to have more students actually graduating with almost an associate's degree. All sites having access to a homeschool coordinator. At one point, everybody didn't have that position at their site. It is now at every school site. Continue parent engagement events. There was an event scheduled for this past Monday, and we probably had maybe 20 people signed up before we left on Friday. Came in Monday morning, it was 81 people signed up for that, and we didn't have enough, but we made it happen. And then something else that was something new, new administrative support. When I do my yearly federal programs meeting with administrators, it can be a lot. So we were able to separate new administrators and new people to the district to meet with them separately to go over things and give them time to digest information before meeting with a large group. So I think that was very helpful. And then just offer virtual options for our non-public is something that I started at the end of last year, and I want to continue with this year, because whatever I need to do to get our non-public partners involved, that's what I need to do. Are there any questions?
Thank you for clearing up that I'm sorry. Go ahead. For clearing up that misunderstanding.
Yes, ma'am.
I met with Desi. I noticed one of the things that you said that,
Dr. Coleman,
could-
can you speak into?
oh, I'm sorry, that one thing that could, or some things that could affect the amount of money that we're given each year is enrollment and attendance.
Yes, ma'am.
And of course, the amount of the money spent in the prior year, and you kind of
Absolutely.
touched on that a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, and we did a real good job from going from having 3 million left over to having 1 million left over. That's awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Will that 1 million, do you think that will impact the amount of funds that we'll receive for this coming up school year?
Say the question to me.
The 1 million that we had in carryover,
That we had last year?
yeah. Well, do you think that's gonna have a negative impact on them?
I do not, because I was able to catch it in time. So the challenge was, and I lost a lot of sleep about that in talking with our DESI partners. What if I never needed to do a revision at that time? Then you literally have just made me obligate our district for $1.5 million that we didn't have, that was your error. So again, that's why I maintain the documentation. If anything pops up in next, no, Desi, this was your error. So I don't think that it will affect us in a negative way. What did make me cringe is how many students we have enrolled, because we do have that 930 report, and that that's a report that we do have to send to DESI that indicates staffing, students, all of that, and that does greatly affect our funding, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lane. You have a question?
My question, I hope, is pretty elementary.
Okay.
This error, because I wrote that down.
Yes, ma'am.
EPEG, that stands for something. I don't need to know.
Yes, ma'am.
But they made the mistake.
Yes.
DESI made the mistake.
Yes, ma'am.
So is that the kind of mistake is this tied into if we were to have an audit and they would look at and see that these numbers aren't working right?
So
Would we be
when,
responsible
we
for
would
that?
not be responsible in this case.
But if you had not found
Then
that,
we would have been responsible. Yes, ma'am.
are those?
Because I had
those-
obligated those, so like I started off, we had been allocated the $3 million. I allocated those funds. You gave us $3 million. We're about to use $3 million. So we're carrying on with the year of using this $3 million. It just so happened that I needed to do that revision to catch that error. Had I not, then we would have been in that particular case. And that was my question to them. And they had no answer. Their answer was, well, the district would have had to use general operating funds to pay it back.
Wait, so we would have just had to pull that money from someplace
Yes,
else that
ma'am.
may have been allocated for
Yes,
something
ma'am.
else?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that,
That's not a typical thing
Is
that
that-
happens.
is that fiscally responsible, doctor?
It's like, you're asking really good questions, and so, we never wanna fall into that kind of situation. That's why it's important that federal programs as well as finance work in tandem in putting these budgets together. Cause if she does make mistakes on her end, which she hadn't made any mistakes, because she allocated what was there, then obviously those, that we have to pay people, they're obligated to pay people.
Right.
And so those could become the obligation of the district. So luckily she went through and did her revisions, to catch that mistake, so.
Is this unusual?
Yes,
It's not typical.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
no problem.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Curtis. Our next item up, or we're moving into items for discussion. Our first item up for discussion is conflict of interest ordinance. This is in conjunction with policies BBFA, and it is being presented by Shay Fields, Coordinator of Board Governance.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This agenda item is usual and customary every 2 years so that we're in compliance with the requirement of the Missouri Ethics Commission. And so with that being said, approval or readoption of this policy will allow new board members, the superintendent and CFO to file the short form of the financial disclosure statement. Are there any questions?
Shay, could you go into the financial statement a little bit?
You
Because
want?
sometimes it can be a little bit confusing when you have to file it.
So yes, new board members, when they decide that they're going to run for the board, they have to fill out a financial disclosure statement. And inside of that financial disclosure statement, I'm gonna pull up my notes a little bit. Which is also in the policy BBFA. It states that you're going to disclose that you earn over a certain dollar amount or that you receive over a certain dollar amount. It also says that in the policy, financial interest statements, also known as personal financial disclosure statements as described above or below, I'm sorry, shall be filed with the Missouri Ethics Commission and the Riverview Gardens School District Board of Education on or before May 1st of the preceding calendar year, unless the person filing is a board candidate. So in that case, they file when they go to the St. Louis County Board of Election Office. Is that it? Anything else that, are there any other
I was
questions?
just gonna say, it's just important that when they send them out, that we do have to file them, because if you don't file,
Yes.
you can be fined.
Okay, I'm sorry. So every year, what Ms. Morrill is saying, I receive a notice. And then when I receive that notice, I ensure that every board member's information that is on file is correct. So that when you receive that via email, mail, you make sure that you file that with the Missouri Ethics Commission. Are there any questions?
Okay, the next item up is the revised Board of Education meeting schedule. This is in conjunction with policy BDA, and it's being presented by Shay Fields.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. This agenda item is being presented because our new Assistant Superintendent of Leadership and Accountability, is doing some planning, and so she asked that we switch the dates, for our meeting August the 27th and April the 22nd. So the locations have been changed and they're highlighted in yellow. Are
So
there
the
any
dates aren't
questions?
different, just
The
the
dates are
location.
not different. My apologies. It's just the location has changed, and so they're in yellow. And so the fourth Tuesday of every month, in our effort to engage with our community, our meetings will take place at one of the sites that's listed on the document. Are there any questions or concerns?
I don't see Lewis and Clark on here.
Want to talk about it? Come on.
Good evening, Special Administrator. No, good evening, Board of Education.
Okay.
Get it right. Okay. All right, so you don't see because we have so many board meetings, you don't see a site on there for Lewis and Clark. You don't see a site on there for Westview and maybe one other, Danforth, I don't think. And so what's going to happen on those days, their site won't be represented, but the school will be represented at that time. So Lewis and Clark will present with Highland, Westview will present with LeMasters, and Danforth will present with Meadows.
Thank you, Ms. Nate.
Thank you, Shay. Our next item up is Federal Programs Avid. This is in conjunction with Board Policy IA and IM. And making this presentation is Lakina Curtis, Director of Federal Programs.
Good evening again, Riverview Gardens School Board. Tonight I bring to you information about the Advancement via Individual Determination Program, also known as AVID. A program that is being used in both our middle schools, the high school, and over the past few years as of the 22-23 school year in Gibson Elementary. AVID is a college readiness system designed to enable and implement proven instructional methodologies and content area best practices, really in preparation for our children to go to college. They provide systems and governance with regard to curriculum and instruction, data collection and analysis, professional learning, and student and parent outreach within this particular program. I will inform you all that the attached contract does have all of the schools, but we have been in communication about the challenges that we've observed at our secondary level, maintaining stability. One of our middle schools has had several leaders over the past 3 years, and this is the first year that they've had the same administrator for 2 years going into. So that's one disadvantage that we've had. But one advantage that we've had is the pilot at the elementary school is doing very well. Those students are part of the program is them being organized and prepared for middle school and understanding how to use that. And those fifth graders from Gibson going into Central Middle have understood using planners and the Wicker system and binders to go into middle school. So that is the success of it from the elementary level. So we're still working on those challenges, and again with Ms. Nave, to make sure that things are in place, and we're working to continue to evaluate it on if it should continue or not at the secondary level, or if pieces or elements of it can continue to work as well. The budget impact is included before you at $61,777, and it is recommended that the Riverview Gardens School Board approve the continuation of the AVID membership and required training for the Riverview Gardens High School, Central and Westview Middle Schools, and Gibson Elementary. Are there any questions?
Thank you. You can move right into your next presentation.
The next one that I have is extended day programming and professional development paid through federal funds. These federal activities will create extended learning opportunities and staff professional development as a component of student academic and social growth, enrichment, as well as credit recovery for our high school students. The staff that participate in this particular activities will again have extended learning opportunities for scholars that will support their improvement in academic achievement, provide tutoring before, after school, and on Saturdays, and ELA math, as well as again some enrichment activities But most importantly, making sure our cohort graduation meets their credit recoveries and those activities as well. You have 4 schools listed, Riverview Gardens High School for an amount at this time, $70,000. And I put an amount to be determined for the summer amount. Was not sure if that was going to change or not, and that will be consistent throughout all schools. Central Middle has an amount at $60,000, and Gibson and Glasgow both have an amount at 10,000, and that is pending an increase in carryover funds through their Title I Big A funds, not the little A funds. Federal Programs is requesting approval for Riverview Gardens High School, Central Middle, Gibson Elementary, and Glasgow Elementary staff participation in extra duty extended learning activities to be paid with federal funds in the current amount of $175,000 inclusive of benefits and pending additional carryover funds for Gibson and Glasgow Elementary. Are there any questions?
Am I missing something here? With the high school, you said the total was 70,000, but I see here that the amount to be paid comes up to, you said 20.
That is wrong.
2,970.
My math was
Seven.
wrong.
Okay.
Yes. That is incorrect.
Okay.
Do you need me to adjust it on the document, or how do you need me to fix this for?
Shay will adjust it.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
The next item up is the STEM Pact MOU. This is in conjunction with Collaborative Cultures and Student Performance under our CSIP, as well as Policy IM. Making this presentation is Dr. Tiffany Hunter, Director of Assessment, and Dr. Tasha Jordan, our Science Curriculum Coordinator.
Right. Good evening, Riverview Gardens School Board, Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues and community. I'm standing before you with Dr. Jordan, who presented. She's the new Science Curriculum Coordinator, but I'm also standing here with Barbara Perner. She is the Project Manager for STEM Integration. And so STEM Pack is a professional development opportunity offered by Washington University for teachers. STEM Pack aims to support teachers when integrating STEM into the classroom with an equity lens to improve student academic outcomes. If you approve this partnership, identified teachers from Westview Middle School will work with a consultant, Barbara, from Washington University, and the consultant will provide job-embedded coaching and professional development during their planning times that focuses on STEM integration using our current curriculum resources. So this partnership will allow our teachers to explore high-quality instruction strategies, plan STEM lessons that are engaging, rigorous, and relevant, and support students to be self-identified STEM-capable learners. This partnership will also allow teachers to expose our scholars to STEM careers, practice 21st century skills, and solve real-world problems. And so attached, you will find the MOU for the 24-25 school year and a calendar that outlines the work that will happen at Westview Middle School. It is recommended that the Riverview Gardens School Board discuss entering into a partnership with Washington University to provide STEM integration coaching to our teachers at Westview Middle School and approve this item later in this meeting. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Moving right into our next item, Create a Loop. Making this presentation is Doctors Tiffany Hunter and Tasha Jordan. And this is in collaboration with our CSIP Go, Collaborative Cultures and Student Performance, and Policy IGA. Ladies.
Good evening again. So last year, the Riverview Gardens School District partnered with Create a Loop, a nonprofit organization that aims to disrupt the generational poverty cycle by equipping students with advanced computer programming skills to create a career pathway in computer science. On the screen, well, it's not on the screen, but if they could, I know, I'm sorry, Matt, but there's a picture of our scholars. It's the first one. Thank you. But these are just pictures of our scholars as they engage with our Create a Loop. This did take place at Westview and Central Middle. It was an elective, basically. And so our scholars, identified scholars, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, engaged in computer science. And so these are pictures of them actually working in the classroom space. So Create a Loop would like to continue their partnership with Riverview Gardens. This partnership is free of charge to the district. And Create a Loop will provide computer science teachers to the district who will work with our scholars during the elective block at Westview Middle School and Central Middle School. All staff will go through a background check, and those background checks are submitted to Human Resources. And so attached, you will also find the MOU for the 24-25 school year, and it is recommended that the Riverview Gardens School Board discuss continuing their partnership with Create a Loop to provide computer science courses to our scholars during the elective block at Westview and Central Middle, and approve this item later in the meeting. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Hunter. Dr. Jordan, this is your first time presenting. Okay, no pressure. Next up for discussion is our McGraw-Hill Science K-5 Extension. This is in conjunction with student performance and in alignment with policy IGA. And making this presentation for her first time is Dr. Tasha Jordan, and she is our Science Curriculum Coordinator.
Thank you. Good evening, Riverview Gardens School Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Tanya Patton, community and colleagues. I bring before you an item for discussion to renew and extend the usage of the McGraw-Hill Inspired Science Digital Renewal for grades K through 5 for the 2024-2025 school year. Riverview Gardens has utilized McGraw-Hill at the elementary level for about the past 6 years. It is a science resource for science teachers. The science textbook adoption with McGraw-Hill has recently ended, which has prompted us to bring a proposal for a 1-year extension to the digital component of this resource. Access to the digital component will allow teachers to continue to provide science instruction at the elementary level. It is recommended that the school board discuss the renewal of the digital resource for grades K through 5 for the 2024-2025 school year, and the amount not to exceed $37,999.86, and approve the item at the next board meeting. Are there any questions?
Do we have data on the use of it?
So all the elementary teachers have been using it for the past 6 years. So they've been using the digital resource before, and then the students have physical consumables to use.
Okay, so the subscription doesn't extend to the students being able to access it online as well?
No, it's just for the teacher digital renewal.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, Dr. Jordan will be making the next presentation, Open Science Ed. This is aligned with our CSIP goal student performance and in conjunction with policy IGA. Dr. Jordan.
Hey, good evening again. I bring before you a discussion to purchase hands-on science supplies for the implementation of the Open SciEd curriculum for our 2 middle schools for this upcoming school year. Last summer, the curriculum team made up science teachers from the high school and middle school level revised the science middle school curriculum to reflect an integrated standards model. The model reflects the Open SciEd model, and the purchase of these materials will assist with implementation. The Open SciEd initiative aims to transform science education by providing rigorous, high-quality science instructional materials that are freely available to all educators. These materials are aligned with the next generation science standards and are designed to improve student engagement, understanding, and proficiency in science concepts. It is recommended that the school board approve the purchase of the science supplies for our 2 middle schools for this upcoming school year in the amount not to exceed $32,310, and approve the item at the next board meeting. Are there any questions?
I'm just curious to whether during that professional development, if the teachers had an opportunity to get in-service on those kits as well. Was there any exploration of those kits so they can be comfortable with implementing?
So upcoming PDs will focus on the implementation of that. I did do a PD for the new teachers, so they were able to go into the resource, look at the different teacher editions, student editions, ask questions about the materials that will be required. And then I'm also going to be meeting with the teachers as well to get that one-on-one support that they need to feel confident in the implementation.
Or the instructional coach, do they get that same training so they can go in and observe the implementation of that?
So that's something that we can definitely talk about and put
Okay.
on the calendar for that way the instructional coaches and the teachers are all on the same page.
Okay, thank you.
Mine is not necessarily a question, but many years ago when we were, kind of new SAB, we had always said that we wish that we could have science labs, in all of our buildings. So I'm excited to see that at least, since we don't have science labs in all our buildings, that we do still have a way for those students that are middle school or what have you to access, this type of material. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Jordan.
Thank you.
Our next item up are decodable books. This item is in conjunction with CSIP Goals Student Performance and in alignment with policy IGA. And making this presentation is Ms. Tanya Ross, ELA Curriculum Coordinator.
Good evening, Riverview Gardens School Board. It just sounds so good just rolling
It
off. I
does,
just had
it
to say
does,
that.
it does, it does.
And Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues and the community. Tonight, I'm up to offer for discussion the purchase of decodable text. You might recall on a previous occasion, a lot of discussion about the science of reading. In the science of reading, you basically have the 5 pillars. In dealing with decodable text, you're really on the foundational skills of reading. Those are the earlier levels with phonemic awareness and phonics. And the reason why we need to purchase these particular texts is because they follow a specific phonemic and phonics pattern that the students are able to learn and actually put into practice, because not only does it show up in instruction, but it also shows up in the books itself. As opposed to level text, which follows no particular pattern and really kind of goes against the science of reading. It's not to say that we do away totally with level text. It's just that until the students master decodable text, it is not advised that they use level text. So we're asking for the approval of the decodable text. It is aligned with the evidence-based reading instruction that's approved by DESE, so we can get a little money back. The cost, it was budgeted. The cost, $87,895. And we're looking for approval at the next board meeting. Are there any questions?
This, I noticed here, it said that, that it's by Benchmark Education. And I know that when I was in the district, we were using Benchmark. Are we still using the Benchmark?
Yes, so since our purchase in 2021, Benchmark has come out with another edition, which is called Benchmark Advance. The phonics program of Benchmark was recently put on the DESE-approved supplementary reading list. So we will continue to use that resource. Yes, that is the same company.
Thank you. Oh,
I'm sorry. So at the end of the day, is this going to help our children learn how to read better? And I listened to everything. I understand it. You said the word phonics. I'm not in the classroom, but 100 years ago, we had something called Hooked on Phonics. Is it kind of like that?
Actually, it is. I kind of like that you remember that.
I'm 100 years old.
So yes, the Dynamite text, the Dynamite books, that's the name of the series that we're purchasing from Benchmark. It is foundational in phonics. And so basically you're dealing with letter and sound recognition into specific word patterns. And so when the students actually learn those at the early level, then they can proceed to proficient and advanced as they continue that development through grade levels. One of the reasons why we're not scoring where we should is because the foundation is not sound.
Right.
And we're thinking that, and research supports it, that with a stronger foundation, our students will be more successful. And they will enjoy reading because they will be more successful in reading text.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Ross. Our next item up is a memorandum of understanding for the JAG program. This is in alignment or in conjunction with our CSIP goals, college and career readiness and student performance, as well as was policy. There is the policy DDAP. Making this presentation is Ms. Khadijah Tijian, College and Career Coordinator.
Well, good evening, Riverview Gardens Board of Education. I bring before you the Memorandum of Understanding for the Missouri Jobs for America, also known as JAG. Since 2015, the JAG program has served as a dropout prevention, career readiness, and job attainment program. They provide $30,000 in reimbursable funds to serve 45 students to support them in community service, employment skills and follow-up services, and career counseling and exploration. So it is our ask that the Board of Education approve this MOU. Any questions?
With the alternative program, coming back under full management of the district, will those students have an opportunity to participate in the JAG program?
That is something that I will ask our new Success Academy principal, Dr. Finkley, to see what we can do. Because I don't want to speak for them without asking.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Our next item, presented by Ms. Tijian, is our partnership with St. Louis Community College. Ms. Tijian.
Good evening again. So before you is an MOU to continue our partnership with St. Louis Community College to offer dual credit, dual enrollment special programs such as Early College Academy, Emerson STEM program, and other programs St. Louis Community College offers for our students. The justification is last year we began this student ask to offer more opportunities for students to gain college credits either toward an associate's degree or toward a career. And it is our ask that the board approve this MOU for the upcoming year. Any questions? Yes.
For the $23,000, what would be the estimated total of students who could participate for that amount?
Right, so the breakdown. So for dual enrollment, we have 14 students participating in that, but dual credit, we have over probably 150 students. So this year we actually were able to expand our dual credit offerings. So last year we only had 4 dual credit offerings. Now we have about 8, and they're still accepting any more. If we hire any more staff who meet the qualifications for the spring, we could do that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So,
You said, can you repeat the first number you said? I heard
sure,
you
we'll
said
have 14 dual enrollment students. So it's like 5 of that is our Early College Academy students. And then the rest are seniors who want to participate in taking college classes. And then about 150 dual credit students. So students who are at the high school taking classes from our Riverview Gardens instructors, but earning college credit.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why I just wanted to just differentiate that. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a particular selection process to determine who can participate in
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So St. Louis Community College has their processes. You have to have a 2.5 GPA in order to participate in dual credit. In order to do dual enrollment, you just have to have a 2.0 GPA and take a few assessments like AccuPlacer for placement to make sure that you have reading proficiency. So those students who have a 2.5 GPA and also meet the other requirements are eligible to get enrolled in our classes that offer dual credit. Yeah.
Madam Chair. Oh, you had another
Oh,
question?
no,
Go
I
ahead.
was just wanting to get follow-up on the alternative schools participating as well.
Yes, and so our students at our Success Academy, if they meet the 2.5 GPA requirement, they are eligible to participate. Yes, ma'am.
And so then my question was just, the students that participated this, that start off with the 2.5 or the 2.0, do you see an increase in their GPA when they finalize, finish the program or what have you received?
So for dual enrollment, that's somewhat new since that's what we began last year. So for this cohort, I've seen it steady because those classes are honors classes.
Okay.
And so if in case, they get a B, right? While it weighs heavier, you'll see a slight movement, upward. But for our students in the dual credit, yes, we do see a significant increase for those students.
Thanks.
Hi, Ms. Tejan. My question is about the MOU. And I don't want to make any assumptions, but why is it that we don't have a legal review for this MOU?
My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, there were no changes. Are you talking about for JAG or for St. Louis Community College?
For St. Louis.
My understanding is there's no because like what Ms. Nave said, that there's been no change to the legal language. The only thing we've done is just add programs. So we've always had dual credit. Last year, we just added dual enrollment. So we just added programs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Our next item up is a summary of the fund balance. This is in alignment with all of our CSIP goals and policy DIAA. In making this presentation is Dr. Levon Singleton, CFO.
Good evening, good evening, Riverview Gardens Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I bring before you our summary of fund balance report. As you know, this is a monthly report that we bring to the board. And this report actually is for the full year ending June 30th. So this goes through the entire fiscal year of last year. And I really want to just focus on the first page of the report that has the numbers on it that says summary of fund balance. If you'll go to page 2, please. Who's doing the guiding? Thank you. Let me just really highlight some important numbers here because I think the Board of Education should certainly be proud of where we are and the activities that we've done. And so on this page here, we started the fiscal year. So July 1st of 2023, we started with about $33 million. Okay, that's where we started the year. Of course, your revenues and expenses through the year dictate what kind of year you have. And so the $33 million is like the savings. Okay, you go into it having saved up or built up $33 million, and the activity, your revenue and expenses through the year really tell what kind of year you had. Well, we took in $118 million last year. Okay, and you can see each fund where that money went. General fund got $49 million. Teachers fund got $29 million. Debt services. And I want to highlight capital projects. You see $31 million there. Okay. As you know, before the end of June, this is where the Prop S monies went. Okay. We got about $25 to $27 million in Prop S monies, and we wanted to make sure that that money came in before June 30th, okay? Because it makes our fund balance look pretty good, okay? And so we did that. And so we see about $118 million we took in, and then we look at our expenditures, okay? We spent about $90 or $91 million, and you see where our biggest fund were general fund expenditures, our teachers fund. Again, we only pay teacher salaries and benefits there, debt services, capital projects, food services, and so forth. And then our ending fund balance. So as of June 30th, all right, if we took a snapshot of our financial situation, we will see that we ended the year with about $60 million in our fund balance. Now, this is incredible. This is good, okay? Because this tells me that we did the right things with our ESSER funds, okay? We helped to build our fund balance. Now, of course, we did some things with Solution Tree, and we did some things with curriculum and instruction, with facilities. We did a lot of things, okay? But for the most part, we were trying to build so that we could live, live for the next year or two and be okay. with that $60 million, our fund balance is looking at about 66%, okay? And the board minimum is a 15%, okay? So we are far out exceeding that fund balance if you include the capital projects, okay? Now, if we take away that Prop S money, which we know, all right, is going to be spent quickly, all right? So I want you all to get comfortable with that 66 because it's going to dwindle away fast because as you all know, we've got 3 years of spend Prop S and we're going at it hastily right now. In fact, we've already started work. You guys have approved some projects over at Westview and some other places. And so we are on the move with getting that money spent. And I think Carl is doing an amazing job, he and his team, and we get together and we're putting those projects in place. And so I wanted to just really highlight that. If we took away the capital projects, our fund balance is still at about a 37%, okay? Yes, yeah, 37%. You know how to do the math. But that's good. That is just really, really good, okay? And it lets us know that, again, we were doing the right things, you know, and so again, I think our Board of Education should be very proud, our superintendent, the fact that you know, some other districts may not be where we are, you know, but we did some of the right things as it pertains to our fund balance. And so hopefully we'll continue to do those things. You guys know that the ESSER funds are next month, or we're closing that out. And so we've got a few large projects that we've hit you with on the supplemental reports. Please continue to approve those because we have until the end of September to get those funds. And our goal is to we still got about $7 million left that we got to spend in the next month and a half. And so as those projects continue to come to you, we ask for your approval as well, okay? All right, I've talked and bragged enough. Are there any questions for me as it relates to our fund balance report?
The $7 million for ESSER funds, do those funds have to be spent or do they just have to be allocated?
So they need to be, and let me make sure that we present it properly because recently DESE did come out with some guidelines that if you have a project that's going on and it will not be finished by September, that they will give you till January, okay, to finish spending those funds. Okay. So what we've been pushing is they need to be spent, okay? We can get them spent. But if we, you know, run into a snag, again, we've got a couple facilities projects. Let's say we're behind on parts and things like that. We have to let DESE know. That's something we have to put in writing and let them know. There's some paperwork to fill out, but we won't be punished for not having those monies spent as long as they're on projects. We're done with people at this stage of the game as it relates to ESSER funds.
Thank you.
Yes.
Levon, can you repeat that? Sorry, Dr. Singleton. They have to be spent by January?
So if you have a project, let's say we're working on the HVAC system at Westview, and you know we're aiming to do that by September. If that project is not going to be completed and you are using ESSER dollars, then there is some documentation and paperwork that you fill out through DESE and you ask them for an extension. And I think they have said that they will allow us through January to spend those additional monies for ongoing projects already. This isn't the opportunity to go and create new projects, but this is an existing project that you, for some reason, you ran into some obstacles that weren't your fault.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singleton. Our next 4 items are being presented by Deirdre Liddell, the Executive Director of Student and Community Service, and they are the Riverview Gardens Behavior Guide and Discipline Procedure, the Supplemental Healthcare MOU, MOUs for Student Services, and the National Fitness Campaign. Ms. Liddell.
Greetings, Riverview Gardens School Board of Education, Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues and community. The first item I have to present is the Behavior Guide, Student Discipline and Behavior Guide. Our Student Behavior Guide and Discipline Procedure is meant as a resource guide for students, parents, guardians, staff It provides clarity for discipline procedures and other related issues throughout the district. Our guide not only addresses the discipline portion, but it is also a guide for broad prevention, restorative, and targeted interventions for the development of self-discipline for our scholars. There is no budget impact to this item, and it is recommended that the school board approve the updated Student Behavior Guide Handbook for the 24-25 school term. And we are asking for discussion and approval for tonight for this item, so to be ready for day one for school.
President? I know that we can't control grown people's behaviors. However, I wish there was some way we could assure that the parents or guardians have read this document. You know, I don't know what our authority is as far as mandating it or what have you, but I just think it would be helpful, maybe. Some of the things that we take as common sense, everybody doesn't, you know, it's not common sense isn't common anymore. So maybe we need some little, a little nudge in those directions. Have we thought about
Yes,
that?
ma'am. I remember in the past, we used to have a parent signature portion where they had to bring that signature page back,
Okay.
and our teachers offered credit. I can add an addendum to this item as far as adding that page in for our parents to sign as a nudge.
Is there also a way to sign online?
I will talk to our technology team to see if that is available. And
That-
also upon registration.
Right.
The thing about upon registration is you just handed it to me.
I didn't read it.
Mhm.
Well,
Right,
and,
I
and
did.
because we have online registration now, it kind of, when we did the registration in person, when it was required to do it, we could gather all of that and have them do it there. But with the online registration process, there's really no way to we could, and in the registration portal, they would have to click that they read it before they move forward with it. But we haven't done that for this school year. It's something we can think about for next school year, but not something we can think about for this school year. And my understanding is that this particular behavior discipline is gone through, it goes to the building level, so it's shared with the building and teachers, and they share it as well. So that could be something, though, we could have for parent-teacher conferences, for example, for the families that come to parent conferences, to have printed copies for them right there. But this will be emailed to all of our parents. There's really no way to ensure that they received it. And so should there be a conflict, we can't prove that they did receive it or not.
Well, I'm just saying another place other than the registration in the portal, just so
Mhm.
that you could say, hey, if you didn't get a chance to, and you can go into the parent portal and click, I don't know, wherever it is.
Right, and Tina does have things in the parent portal that parents have to click on in order to complete registration. So this can be added in that way as well.
Madam Chair, that was I'm sorry. That was the question that I was gonna ask too, because I was looking for, I printed it off, and I'm very happy to see that this is done. And it's pretty good. And, that was the question that I had, should they sign it? Yes, ma'am.
What if we had some kind of like the classroom that has the most parents who sign, you know, they get a pizza party or some ice cream or, you know, I don't know. I'm just, some kind of incentive.
That's a
I
great
don't know
idea.
if we can do that or
That's a
not.
great idea. And that's something I can definitely work with Ms. Nave to talk to the principals about. Mhm.
I think I was gonna ask, with the parent portal, were you saying that a digital copy would be there?
So we do have digital copies. The digital copy will definitely be on the website as well, as a link that can be put in the parent portal.
Okay, as a link that can be put in the parent portal.
Mhm.
And has there been any, well, maybe it hasn't been considered, but if you have a parent university or some sorts where just videos on the handbook, because we might have parents with reading deficiencies or anything, but if we accommodate with some videos on the different sections, then there'll be a way that they can review as well.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, Ms. Liddell, you can go right into supplemental health MOU.
Thank you. The Supplemental Health Care is a staffing agency that employs licensed healthcare professionals. We currently have 5 nurses through Supplemental Health. The nurses help address our health services needs for our students. We currently have a nursing shortage, so it covers the vacancies, and it also can provide substitute coverage for those areas when needed. There is a correction on this item as far as the dollar amount. The total is $464,000. It is listed in the bottom part of this. However, it's incorrect for the top part. I'm asking that the school board approve the agreement with Supplemental Healthcare to facilitate the healthcare services and staffing needs for the 24-25 school year for our nurse vacancies and substitute nurse coverage in the amount not to exceed $464,000. And I'm also asking that this be discussion and approval for tonight to make sure that we have nurses for day 1 for our scholars. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Memorandum of Understanding for Student Support Services.
So the next item that I have are the memorandums of understanding. We are fortunate as a district to have providers and other partners such as Children's Service Fund that cover so many memorandums of understanding for us. Some of the things include mentoring, therapeutic mental health support, social emotional supports that are provided to both our scholars and our families. The majority of all of our therapeutic resources are free or covered by other grants. All of the MOUs attached have been vetted by our attorneys. However, Homegrown at STL and Express You through Art are pending legal
Review.
The Office of Student Support Service is requesting the approval of the attached MOUs for the 24-25 school year at the next board meeting. Are there any questions? The next item that I have is National Fitness Campaign. National Fitness Campaign is a wellness initiative by our partners, by one of the partners that partner with municipalities, schools, and other health communities. It aims to provide free outdoor fitness courts, which are body weight circuit training gyms or outdoor gyms that are accessible to all ages and all abilities. The fitness court aligns with the district's strategic plan for enhancing student life, promoting wellness, and fostering supportive and inclusive campus environment. The regular fitness or physical activity regular physical activity is shown to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, which improves mental health. A fitness court on our campus, as well as the Rams Mental Health Clinic, which offers medical care and behavioral health services, will provide as a holistic approach that fosters happier, healthier students and staff. The fitness court will provide an outdoor classroom space for health and PE, and will also be utilized by clubs, athletics, staff, wellness coordinators, and facilitators, as well as the community. The budget impact for this is $287,550 and will be budgeted through ESSER 3. There is a legal reference for this, and it's pending legal for our MOU. It is recommended that the Riverview Gardens Board of Education approve the National Fitness Campaign at a cost not to exceed $287,550 at the next board meeting. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, yes, because this will be used by the community, will there be a hold harmless, any type of hold harmless language included in this in case somebody got
This
hurt or
is,
whatever?
so we asked that question. That was the first question that we asked them. The National Fitness Campaign outdoor equipment is similar to, it's the liability that's similar to like, our equipment at our elementary schools with our slides and playgrounds. Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Liddell, a couple of questions. I'm trying to envision this. I love this idea. So this will be at the high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the community using it, it would be off, after school hours is?
After school hours. So usually we have our community that will come and walk the track and different things like that. It's usually during a time where we don't have physical education classes, you know, on our tracks and different things like that. The location that we're looking at for this is right outside of the fence, right on Shepley. So it will be something that is very close to the top of campus.
That's what I was trying to think where it would go.
Okay, and
Yes.
then my next question, and this goes back to Dr. Singleton when he referred to the ESSER three funding.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why I asked that question about the extension or January. So if, when will we have to pay this money? Would the project be done by January or September? I just wasn't clear on how this funding, I mean, how does this work with this?
Yes, so I have been working with Dr. Singleton as well as Mr. Scheit in regards to how this would roll out. We do have several plans on the table. We did come to an agreement with one plan that will roll this out as quickly as possible. So everything will be paid by September 30th. We have plans for concrete and everything to be laid, for everything to be shipped. So we have all of the spaces for the equipment and everything. So as soon as we receive board approval, then they're ready to go ahead and move forward.
And do we have to get any special permits for this?
What would be constructed is actually just a concrete pad.
Okay.
It would be done within ADA compliance so that it would be accessible to all. There's really no structure here other than a concrete slab. And then the fixtures that will be provided by National Grid will then be installed on that. And it has to be done by a certified installer, which they provided us with the certified installers.
Thank you. Very exciting.
Thank you.
So do we're buying the equipment?
Yes, ma'am.
We're buying the equipment and it's going on concrete.
Yes, ma'am. So it's a weighted fitness gym where everything is pretty much bolted down. So there's not a lot of service or anything requirements. The only thing that's required is maybe it's sprayed down every now and then, but there are not a lot of moving pieces that go with it. There are apps that will go on the wall that will give you a whole fitness routine, and that is free for the entire time. It's ADA accessible. And then we also received a $30,000 grant that goes with this.
Okay.
Madam Chair, so this sounds like something like you see in some parks where you'll be walking along and then they'll have like maybe something that's like a pearl wheel thing and you can walk on that, or they'll have something where you can, okay.
There's
I can
also
picture it now.
a studio session on the other side. So one side will have the equipment, body weight equipment, and then there's another side where if someone wanted to do stretching or Zumba or a step team or anything like that.
Okay,
Mhm.
but as far as the concrete is concerned, we still have to go to Bell Fountain to get approval for poured concrete?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I was just kidding, okay. All right. This sounds great.
Any other questions?
Will we see a picture?
Yes, ma'am.
The picture?
Can you pull that back up?
Oh, it's in there? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't see the video.
Mhm. And there's a couple pictures and videos that I provided.
It's exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Liddell. Our next item up for discussion is the front line renewal. This is in conjunction with CSIP goals staffing and workforce and in alignment with policy GBCBC, GBCDA, and two GBCDAs. Okay. Mr. Ford. Making this presentation is Travis Ford, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Good afternoon, school board members. Good evening, school board members, Dr. Patton, colleagues and community. Today I have before you the Frontline ASOP absent management subscription renewal. The policy is up for renewal. This is the program that the district is currently using. It's called Frontline ASOP. We use it for absence management. Like I said, it's for a renewal. This system works very well and is a vital component of our absent management in assigning substitute teachers, especially with us having our substitutes back within our district. This is a program that we've been using for several years, and our veteran staff members are very aware and familiar with the program. It is budgeted out of the HR budget. The budget impact is $18,284.99. And so it is recommended that the school board approve the subscription renewal for the Frontline ASOP system so that we are able to maintain efficiency with our absent management system. Are there any questions?
Our next item and the next item after that will also be presented by Mr. Ford, the Power School Talent Ed Renewal, as well as the staffing plan adjustment.
Good evening again. This Power School annual renewal is the license and subscription renewal. This is another system that is used within our district in our HR office. The district is currently using Power School's Talent Ed applicant tracking management system. This system works well. This is the system that we use for posting, job postings, applicant tracking, interviewing, and hiring results. The district has used this system for several years. Our veteran hiring managers are very familiar with the system, and it works really well with the other components in our HR system. It is budgeted out of the HR budget. The budget impact for the Power Schools Talent Ed is $16,550. In addition to Power Schools Talent Ed, we are also bringing up the Power Schools Springboard application. This is another component of Power Schools. This is the piece that allows us to do a nationwide search when we're looking for applicants. This piece is also up for renewal. It is budgeted as well. Springboard's budget impact is $1,550. It is recommended that the school board approve the subscription renewal for Power Schools applicant tracking management system and also the Power Schools Springboard job posting system. Are there any questions?
Staffing
Thank you.
plan adjustment.
My next item is the staffing plan adjustment. The school board approved the staffing plan adjustment on April the 9th, 2024. There was a correction that needed to be made. It said 2022 through 2025. It was 2024, 2025. Each year, the proposed staffing plan takes into consideration the projected enrollment at each school site and also the needs of students and staff at each location. Since that time, we are recommending some changes to the staffing plan to reflect adjustments based on the district's need and federal funding. The grant funding positions are based on the current allotments, and the changes can be expected as the funding allocations are finalized throughout the school year. The positions that are being requested for change in the staffing are listed below, and it is recommended that the school board approve the staffing plan adjustment for these federal positions as presented. Are there any questions?
First, I wanted to know the justifications for the reductions versus mainly the reductions
And-
versus the additions.
So by each position, I put in the reason for the reductions and the reasons for the additions. Some of the reductions are because those positions stayed vacant for a year. And so by not being able to find an applicant in that position, and also the school making adjustments to their intervention plans. So maybe the school had an opening for a reading specialist through federal funds. That position stayed vacant for the year. The that school put in interventions to support those students and make those adjustments. Now they're requesting that that be reallocated to a math specialist so that they can find an applicant in there and support the students in mathematics. So each one of the adjustments has that buy-in. Most of them are because those positions remain vacant or they found other places to use that vacant position to support the students in another way.
Any other questions?
Thank
Oh, I
you.
know it was a question. I think it was during the presentation of the students in transition department. It was kind of referenced that they needed additional support, and I was just wondering, have that conversation been revisited on staffing additional individuals for that department?
So, yes. So Ms. Liddell and I have spoken and had conversations on some of the needs of the Students in Transitions Department. We're currently working on how those allocations could be made and how we can look at possibly reallocating some pieces or requesting for additional support in those areas. We're looking at the budget impact and the needs, the full needs of that department. And once we have that information finalized, we'll present it.
Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you.
Mr. Ford, do you have the next one? ESER 3 advertising, recruiting, and newspaper proposal? Or
I
that looks
do
like it's
not.
Mr. Sistron, because he is standing behind you. Making this presentation is Mr. Ishmael Sistron, our Communications Executive Director.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues and community. This evening, Mr. Ford, he is welcome to stand up now. Tonight, I'll be presenting an advertising, recruiting, and newsletter proposal. This is using ESSER 3 funds. So Riverview Garden School District has more than, that should be $185,000 available in ESSER 3 for recruiting, advertising, and communications. The Human Resources Department has made significant strides in filling our vacancies, but as of last week, we had 104 true vacancies. 81 of those were certified, 23 of those were non-certified. And so we did a similar recruiting campaign last year, and I believe at that time we had over 100 non-certified vacancies. So we've made huge impacts in advertising and our recruiter going out and just taking many strategies to get the word out about Riverview Gardens. And it was so successful that we wanted to do something before the ESSER dollars ran out at the beginning of the school year. And so this plan calls for $90,000 in television advertising. That's $30,000 each for KMOV, KSDK, and Fox 2, $15,000 for radio advertising, $15,000 for newspaper advertising, $15,000 for billboard advertising, and $50,000 for direct mail. And what that would be are newsletters. It's in our communications plan and our CSIP plan to have quarterly newsletters that go out to families in the community. So we're not just emailing them. And also we'll have some postcards going out at various times of the year. And that's what that $50,000 would go towards. We are asking, because it's the ESSER funding and we're on the deadline, we are asking for discussion and approval today. And we're asking the school board to approve an amount not to exceed, again, that should say $185,000. Now, I do want to point out that at the next board meeting, there is a supplement for ESSER 3 funds for just under $19,000. And what that is we had, from last year's advertising blitz, we had one advertiser that didn't get the invoices to the proper people by the end of the fiscal year. So we have about $19,000 from last year that wasn't paid. So rather than not being able to advertise this year, we work with Dr. Singleton to put in a supplement request. That'll come to the next board meeting. But I wanted to point that out so you don't say, hey, we just approved $185,000. Why is he coming back already? Those are for ads that already ran that we want to make sure that we get them paid in a timely manner. Are there any questions?
Madam President.
Yes.
Good evening. So
Good
the
evening.
full 185,000 is from ESSER 3?
Yes, all of these are ESSER 3 funds.
And so based on what we talked about earlier, all of this will happen before January?
So they're going, so, and I see where you're going with your question. So we're going to pay the bills. Right, we're gonna pay the bills ahead of time. So, obviously, that money will be used.
Yeah, and all of the commercials, the radio, the television ads, those will run well before January. Those will run through between now and September, maybe October. The newsletters are the only piece that will go beyond that time frame, but we'll pay that up front, and then the vendor will check off the amount as we go.
I wish you had more than that, 185,000.
Hey, I'm open. Hey, I'm
I know how much
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
advertisement costs.
It
Yeah.
does, but yeah, and we've been out there. It's been effective, so thank you.
And the last item up for discussion is a consultation services with LDR. This is presented by me. So when you look at the growth that Riverview Gardens has made, we've gotten our scores back, which I will be sharing with the board soon, and we have made gains across the board. So this collaboration that we are having with Solution Tree, as well as the new improved CSIP plan that is a living, breathing document, is working. With that said, I'm requesting to consult with LDR for the services of our former superintendent in a consultation mode. I want to consult with her about 10 hours per month. I do see that there is I need to correct the contract. The contract says 5 to 8 hours per week. I think that's what it says. So I will get that contract corrected. But I'm asking the board to approve this at our next board meeting at a cost not to exceed $18,500. Are there any questions?
Okay, so for clarification, the company is the company, but they have her employed. with
Yes,
them.
ma'am. Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Miss Williams,
I do have a question.
Mhm.
So I need a little convincing here, Dr. Patton.
a little convincing?
Yes, so
Okay.
help me understand why we need a consultant for the areas of focus that are listed in the board item. When we have an executive director of continuous improvement who
Mhm.
has been with Solution Tree since its inception, spearheading the work. We also have building administrators, district administrators who were instrumental in developing the CSIP and also implementing the CSIP.
So it's the responsibility of the superintendent to make sure all of that is occurring as effectively as it has been over the last 2.5 years. And so I have been consulting with Dr. Joyland in the development of the CSIP plan. The CSIP plan was previously on the shelf. We have a new assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, and that's where the CSIP plan kind of falls. So with Tiffany Buchanan being new, as well as the work that Dr. Jolene has done in pushing our district forward, I would like to have the opportunity to consult with her when I have questions, for clarity's sake. So we are all working together as a team, continuous improvement, leadership and accountability, curriculum and instruction, and we want to keep that work going. Of course, our goal is always full accreditation. And I believe we are at a critical junction in this district, as I shared during the convocation, that we're at a critical junction and we need to get to full accreditation. And if me having questions that I can call our previous superintendent about who started the move forward is possible, I would like the board to consider that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
That concludes the items for discussion.
Go to the items for, let's see, approval for the consent agenda. I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking to see, did we have anything? Well, we said we wanted to, is this where we're taking out that,
Yes.
going back to 10C. Going back to, Ms. Lane's motion. And now looking at the, item 10C, you wanted us to discuss that, am I correct?
Well, yes,
So we want to remove it from the consent agenda? Is that?
It was with the original motion, the way that she presented it to amend the agenda with the exception of the open
Okay, so,
session
oh, I
meeting
thought,
minutes
I
from
thought she
7-9.
said to discuss it. Okay.
So it'll
What-
be after, for clarity, it could be after 11H
Okay.
on the agenda because it was on here for approval.
Yes.
So it'll just be moved down for a brief discussion before you
Down there.
vote to take action.
So I don't see anything else here that would need it correcting or changing, so can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda after removing item C? So to approve the consent agenda, approving items A, B, D, E, F, and G.
Madam Chair, point of order, I believe that we need to make a motion to move into the consent agenda, which is 9A.
I didn't hear what you said. Say that again. Oh, she wanted the approval. Well, 9A is the approval of the consent agenda items. So.
Okay, I would like to move into the consent agenda items.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to move into the consent agenda items. I'd like
I
a
have a
motion
question.
to.
I have a question.
Yes.
So are we moving item C under the items for consent to,
Wait just a second. Before we do that, let's vote to approve the, am I right? Moving to the
I
consent.
couldn't hear what was said. I'm sorry. I was trying to get some clarity. I didn't understand what we were doing.
We were moving into the consent agenda 9A.
Yes, that's where we were when.
Yeah, that was the
Dr.
motion
Culver
that I was making.
asking for a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 10C.
Okay,
So below is just listing those.
okay,
9A is the action.
okay, so the motion has been made.
Second. It's been moved and second to move to accept the consent agenda with removal of item C from the consent agenda. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All or any opposed? You might want to ask for extensions too. You might want to ask for extensions too. Nobody wants to. Okay. They can say it. Okay. At this time, I'd like to move to the items for actions.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve all the items for action, not to include the discussion of the minutes, which will be items A, B, let me say, A, Board Education Meeting Schedule, the STEAM PAC MOU, the C, Create a Loop MOU, the RGS HS memorandum with JAG, E, the partnership with St. Louis Community College, F, the behavior guide, G, supplemental health MOU, and H, ESSER 3.
There was one thing here, and I'm trying to remember. Was it the supplemental health MOU that there was some, we need to correct the
We needed to correct the amount. The amount was correct in one place, but not in another, and we'll make that correction. It was $464,000.
So, with that said, Dr. May has made a motion to approve the items for action. And what did you add to that?
I just said not to include the discussion on the minutes.
And not including the discussion for, the minutes.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the items for actions, excluding the open session minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
So point of order, President. Item C, the open minutes for July 9 have not been approved.
Correct.
Okay.
So do we need to come back to that at another time?
Madam Chair, I move that we, discuss the item C at the next board meeting. That clarity for sake, because I don't want, we're gonna start this year off as a team. And so rather than belittle,
Belabor.
I'm saying belittle,
Oh.
I know what I was saying,
Uh-huh.
this particular item. I would rather us to take the time to really look at it. And any corrections that need to be made, let's make them, but let's not use this time. We got too much work to do to keep bringing it up, arguing back and forth. So that's how I feel about it.
So my suggestion is for us to review, President, policy BCA. That way everyone will understand.
We can do that, but I'm just saying.
Is there a second to the motion that Ms. Moore Real just made to table the item? Okay, thank
It's
you.
been moved and second, moved by Ms. Morrill, second by Ms. Jackson to,
Table.
Table it to the next meeting.
table the open session minutes for the next board meeting.
For discussion.
For discussion.
Madam Chair, I would like for the board to also look at policy BCC 1. It says the board may also elect an alternative secretary and treasurer to serve in situations where the elected secretary or treasurer is absent or unable to perform the duties of the position.
Thank you. All in favor?
So we have reference of two policies, BCA and
Yes.
BCC1.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And that, I believe, is it.
Yes.
Motion to
Yes.
adjourn.
So move.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded, we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's go.
She said we weren't gonna be here tonight.
It is 8:57.
We made it.